So Rachel Maddow did another clip on Russiagate. She just did it. And I got to tell you, from start to finish, even though she's done it for 3 years straight, this is still kind of jaw-dropping how she is pushing straight-up propaganda as fact. I say that only because Rachel Maddow is repeating almost verbatim CIA and DNC talking points on Russia and CrowdStrike, repeating them as news instead of easily debunked bullshit. Now, you remember who CrowdStrike is. CrowdStrike was the outside firm the DNC hired to investigate their server that they say was hacked by Russia. People like me say CrowdStrike is a compromised private organization that was being paid directly by the DNC, and the FBI should have investigated that server, so you can't take anything CrowdStrike says as fact. Well, she refers to people who reject the conclusion of CrowdStrike's investigation of the DNC server, which their conclusion was that the Russians hacked the DNC server. She refers to people who are skeptical of that as conspiracy theorists pushing a conspiracy. I'm not kidding. Of course, rejecting CrowdStrike's investigation of the DNC server is not a conspiracy theory at all. Rejecting that Russia hacked the DNC server is also not a conspiracy theory. It's the exact opposite of a conspiracy. People who reject CrowdStrike's conclusion that Russia hacked the DNC server are people who are rejecting a conspiracy theory, and Rhodes Scholar Rachel knows this, yet she purposely misappropriates that term to intentionally mislead her own audience once again. After she does that, she then launches an entirely new conspiracy theory as to why Donald Trump asked the Ukraine president to investigate Hunter Biden. And just why did Trump ask the Ukraine president to investigate Hunter Biden, according to Rachel Maddow? You guessed it, 'cause Russia wanted him to. I shit you not. She's really an illegal Verone. I'm here with Ron Placone and Steph Zamorano. And I'm going to play the video, and we're going to stop and start it as I like to do, and we'll come back. Here we go. So here's how it starts. She's talking about the Ukraine phone call that Trump had, and we'll take it from there.
Call you and your people, and I would like you to get to the bottom of it. As you saw yesterday, this is the day after Robert Mueller testified in Congress about the Mueller report, that whole nonsense ended with a very poor performance by a man named Robert Mueller, an incompetent performance. But they say a lot of it started with Ukraine. Whatever you can do, it's very important that you do it, if that's possible.
Now, she's quoting the phone call from Trump talking to the Ukraine president. That's what she's quoting there. And okay, so you got it. Okay.
That's President Trump's response to Ukraine asking to buy anti-tank missiles to protect themselves from the Russian military. And while the president's words don't always hang together as English, what he appears to be talking about there is a conspiracy theory regarding the Russian attack on our election in 2016. Right?
The conspiracy theory is that Russia colluded with WikiLeaks and Donald Trump to hack the DNC server. That's the conspiracy theory. People who don't believe in that theory are debunking a conspiracy theory. She's saying the exact opposite. Okay.
Remember that in the summer of 2016, before the election, the Democratic Party was hacked. All its documents and emails were stolen. The Democratic Party hired a cybersecurity firm to come in and assess what happened.
CrowdStrike. The DNC hired a cybersecurity firm to do the investigation the FBI should have been doing. That's called a broken chain of evidence, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why you will never be able to prove the Russians hacked the DNC server, because they broke the chain of evidence of custody. The FBI never investigated the DNC server. They gave it to a CrowdStrike, which has been revealed, and I don't have time to go into it, to be a completely compromised company that's being paid for by the DNC to do their own investigation. I hope anyway, so that's what she's talking about.
That firm was called CrowdStrike. The report from CrowdStrike on that attack was the first public assertion that the attack on the Democratic Party appeared to have originated from Russia.
Oh, my God. It was the company hired by the DNC concluded that it was Russia that hacked the DNA. Isn't that something? Somebody being paid finds a result that you actually want them to find? It's almost like when the scientists work for the Exxon and say there's no global warming.
Russian government. What the president appears to be suggesting here in this call to Ukraine is that somehow the hacked Democratic Party servers ended up in Ukraine, and CrowdStrike has some Ukrainian connections, which is why he wants the Ukrainian president to get involved with this. I mean, the whole point of this particular conspiracy theory is that Russia didn't really...
Again, that's not a conspiracy theory, and she knows it. Yet she's misappropriating that word to mislead who? Not Fox News viewers, not Republicans, not Russians, but people who turn to MSNBC for the news. That's who she's intentionally misleading right now on purpose at 100 miles an hour at the top of her lungs.
Carry out the hack of the Democratic Party. Russia didn't really mess with our election in the 2016. This is a conspiracy theory that has been pushed by Russia, by Russian bots.
Isn't that kind of amazing, the way she calls people not buying into a conspiracy? I mean, it is jaw-dropping how she does it over and over again. It's not a conspiracy theory to not buy into a conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theories are real. That's why people are charged with conspiracy to commit a crime all the time in court, in the legal system in the United States. The Russians hacking into the DNC along with WikiLeaks and Trump, that is a conspiracy theory that she's pretending isn't. It could also be, conspiracy theories could also be true.
It's a hell of a journalistic license. I mean, it really is. Like, where do you get one of those? Hey, I have this perspective in this thing here. Do you have, like, a body of evidence to back it up?
No.
Kind of, sort of, not really. I don't know if I buy it then. You're the conspiracy theorist.
Yes.
You lose. I win.
Yes. That's what I noticed. People would say this in the comments under some of our videos. They would say, oh, Jimmy is a conspiracy theorist because he doesn't believe Russia hacked into our That's the opposite of what a conspiracy theory is. And that's how warped people's brains are, that they listen to people like Rachel Maddow, who is intentionally misusing that word, and then they repeat it. And she doesn't give a shit because Rachel Maddow, in case you haven't noticed, has zero integrity. Absolutely zero. And here's another case of her doing it. This is what she's doing here is Alex Jones. Whatever people, I don't watch Alex Jones, but whatever people think he does, that's what she's doing.
By far-right sources, by one of the president's key political advisors. We'll get to that in a second.
She's saying the people who don't buy into the Russiagate are just far-right crazies. And they're also award-winning journalists like Aaron Matei from The Nation magazine, who worked at Democracy Now! For a decade. People like that. People like Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Glenn Greenwald, who broke the Edward Snowden story. Those are she doesn't mention those people.
Wait, there is that right-wing academic, Noam Chomsky.
No, Noam Chomsky also.
Big right-winger, that Noam Chomsky.
Big right-winger.
But the theory goes that this attribution that Russia is the entity that attacked the Democratic Party. The theory goes that that attribution of responsibility for the attack to Russia is something that was ginned up by this company, CrowdStrike, just as a way to make Russia look bad.
That was what happened, which is why the FBI never investigated the server. They never got their hands on it or a look at it. CrowdStrike did it, breaks the chain of custody, so it's all inadmissible. She doesn't tell you any of this. She doesn't tell that CrowdStrike also got caught making up bullshit about Russia that they had to retract in another incident. She doesn't tell you any of this. She doesn't tell you it's highly abnormal for a private cyber firm to do the FBI's job. She doesn't tell you that. She doesn't tell you that James Comey, the head of the FBI, said he wanted to investigate those servers. He wanted to get his hands on it, but they couldn't. Why? Nobody ever says why. So come on, is this jaw-dropping or not?
Yes, absolutely. In the establishment media, and even amidst establishment politicians, now the word conspiracy theory just refers to information we don't like.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
that's all. I mean, there was that example that we highlighted on this show where Crystal Ball, where that person was like,
Yes.
oh, yeah, Joe Biden's son thing, that's just a conspiracy theory. No, that's what happened. That's not a conspiracy theory.
Yes.
What are you talking about? Is it ethical or not? That's the question. It's not a conspiracy theory
That's-
just because you don't like that part.
Yes, you're talking about the Democratic congressman on with Crystal Ball when
Yes.
they asked him about the $50,000 a month that Hunter Biden was getting from the Ukrainian energy company, and he says, "Oh, that's a conspiracy theory," and she says, "That's not a conspiracy theory. That Hunter Biden had a job on the energy company for 50. That's a fact."
Yes, a job. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
You know, it almost makes me want each time that a politician, congressman or senator comes on camera on Rachel Maddow, I think we first have to clear the playing field and say, were there weapons of mass destruction?
Okay, so there's more to this. There's more to this. Watch this.
Because CrowdStrike has some connection to Ukraine. We're not sure what it is. Ukraine hates Russia. Russia didn't really do it. They're being falsely blamed, and maybe Ukraine can get to the bottom of it. And I know that sounds nuts. And I know it seems
It doesn't sound nuts. You know what sounds nuts? Is you think that our elections are being run by Russia. You know what sounds nuts? Is that you scare people into thinking that Russia can turn off their heat in the middle of a polar vortex. That's what sounds nuts. You know what sounds nuts? Is you say that Russia is hiring and firing people inside Trump's administration at will. That's what sounds nuts.
like, oh, Maddow, maybe it's hard for you to be parsing that out of these incoherent sentences from the notes from the president's call. Honestly, the reason we can spell out more clearly what this theory is all about is because this is, in real life, the legal defense that's being mounted in federal court by the president's longtime political advisor, Roger Stone. The way that Roger Stone is trying to defend himself on multiple felony counts in court is by claiming that this company, CrowdStrike, is secretly Ukrainian, and Russia didn't really attack the U.S. election, and Russia didn't really hack the Democratic Party's emails. It's all a false claim by CrowdStrike because they have some sort of Ukrainian connection. The Ukrainians wanted to...
Again, she has as much evidence that Russia hacked the DNC server as George Bush had that there were WMDs in Iraq. You know what the evidence is? The intelligence community told us. That's Rachel. That's everybody's proof is that the intelligence community. First, it was 21 intelligence agencies. Then it was 17 intelligence agencies. Turns out it was just 3. Then it was just a bunch of guys who were handpicked by the head spook at the CIA. And so I had Bill Beeney on here, the top code breaker at the NSA. He debunked what she's saying about the NSA, about the DNC server. He debunked it. Said it couldn't have been done by Russia. It had to be a local guy downloading it to a thumb drive. That's what Bill Binney, the top code breaker for the NSA. She has no evidence for saying what she's saying. No one does. No one had any evidence for saying WMDs, but they talked the whole country into going to war. And that's how this works. And she's still doing it, even after Mueller took that huge diet turd dump of a testimony. She's still doing this. Even after 2 years of investigating Donald Trump over this, and they didn't find a shred of evidence, she's still doing this. And she's misappropriating the term conspiracy theory. It's exactly what Ron says. Now it's just anything I don't agree with.
And the Russians to make Russia look bad. Russia's actually innocent. The Democratic Party hacked itself. That is how Roger Stone is trying to beat his felony charges in court. Just this past week, the judge in his case threw out an effort to suppress all the fruits of the search warrants in his case because of Roger Stone's claim that all those search warrants were based on false allegations against Russia, and Russia's innocent. And
Roger Stone has nothing to do with this. Roger Stone is a self-promoter who had nothing to do with this. Has nothing. He wanted people to think he had something to do with WikiLeaks and Julian Assange. He has nothing to do with anyone.
Strikes lost servers in Ukraine might explain all of it. I mean, this is an off-the-deep-end claim. It really is not working for Roger Stone in court, and it's not working in the court of public opinion either. Russia really did attack our election.
She just says it as a fact now. This is just a fact at MSNBC and CNN and the Washington Post and the New York Times. It's just a fact. So again, they just say these things, but they don't ever say what they mean. So they don't mean anything.
Are they continuing to attack our election, running Joe Biden?
Right.
Is that it? Hey, I know somebody that could lose to Trump again, Joe Biden, and everybody on corporate television is surrounding Joe Biden in support.
That's right. Let's watch the rest of this. To me, this is fascinating.
CrowdStrike did find that Russia attacked the DNC servers. But
CrowdStrike found. You mean that private company that was being paid by the DNC to find that thing? Not the FBI, but a private server. And she says it like that's normal. That's not normal. You don't let a private company do an investigation of election tampering by a foreign entity.
CrowdStrike found that. Then all U.S. intelligence and law enforcement agencies found that too.
They didn't find that. They asserted that. There's no proof. Just like WMDs. They all said it was there. It was real. There's no proof. Do you see how she says that? Do you see how she's just misleading people? She doesn't say, now, of course, there's no proof. But they all asserted that. All our intelligence agencies asserted it, just like they asserted WMDs.
The attribution that Russia was responsible for the attack was the basis for a 12-person indictment against Russian military intelligence officers from Robert Mueller. I mean, in the real world, there is no question that Russia attacked the 2016 election to benefit Donald Trump.
In the real world, she just gets to get made up. You make up your own reality, and she spins a conspiracy theory that is evidence-free and is a hoax. It's been proven to be a hoax. This is all true, yet somehow they just couldn't nail Trump on it.
But in the world that just unfolded to us today, in the middle of this impeachment scandal, President Trump not only admits to doing what the presidents are now going to impeach him for. He not only concedes that he went to the government of Ukraine to try to get dirt on Joe Biden ahead of the 2020 election. We also learned that he is trying to enlist Ukraine to help him in this effort to exonerate Russia for their attack on us in 2016, to get what Russia did wiped off the ledger somehow. Why are they going back to this?
So this is what makes what Rachel's saying even dumber. Why would Trump, if what she says is true, that Russia hacked the DNC server in collusion with Trump to aid his election, Trump would know that. So then why would Trump pressure the Ukraine government to investigate something? If he knows if they do investigate it, they'll reveal that Russia did it. Do you see what I'm saying? If Trump knew Russia did it, why would if Russia did do it, and what Rachel's saying is true, Trump would know that Russia did it, and he was in collusion with them. So why would he be pressuring a foreign government to investigate it? He wouldn't. But he actually knows he didn't do it, and he knows Russia didn't do it, which is why he's pressuring a foreign government to get a hold of CrowdStrike and find out the corruption inside CrowdStrike because it's corrupt. That's what was happening. Am I being clear?
I think at the end of the day, I mean, watching this supposed news report.
This is not.
This is like.
This is wingnut shit. Go ahead.
Well, and what this really is she has, because there's people who watch this every night militantly, and this is, and a lot of them probably have the right intentions. They think this is how you oppose Trump.
Yes.
You know, and what this is at the end of the day, though, this is a 3-year oligarch soap opera that she made for the sake of ratings.
Yep.
And it's because, faith in cable news is, continues to get lower by the year because of nonsense like this.
That's how bad of a conspiracy theorist you are, Rachel. You can't even keep it straight. It doesn't make sense that Trump would do that. But here's why he's doing it. Why is he doing it?
A few rationales that you might game out. I mean, I guess they could be trying to help Roger Stone's defense. The president could also just be trying to create a new revisionist history where his election in 2016 doesn't have an asterisk on it because of known Russian interference to try to help him win. But I'd be remiss if I did not also note that there is one other party that benefits if Trump is able to get this done. And that's Russia. I mean, Russia still denies having anything to do with the 2016 election interference. Part of the reason they still deny it and they can't admit to it, they can't even brag about it as much as I'm sure they'd love to, is because their 2016 election interference led to a whole bunch of quite serious sanctions against them that are really bad for their economy and that they really, really want lifted. There's no way they can get those sanctions lifted as long as the U.S. government still officially blames Russia for having interfered in Trump's election.
Here it comes. This is it.
And Trump apparently is trying to enlist Ukraine in trying to disprove that Russia interfered in the 2016 election. And that is just what we learned today.
So she ties it up with a new conspiracy theory. The reason why Trump is doing this is not to get back at Joe Biden, but Russia. So in the middle of pointing a finger at everybody else who she disagrees with, calling them all conspiracy theorists, she launches another unbelievably evidence-free conspiracy theory about the president of the United States doing the bidding of a foreign government and being a traitor to our country. That's how she ends this, with an unbelievable conspiracy theory. But because she's on MSNBC, no one's going to call her a conspiracy theorist except people like me and Aaron Mate. Because that's what she is. She is Alex Jones right there. That's your mainstream news, Alex Jones. She just invented a new conspiracy theory of why Trump's doing that. Everyone thinks Trump's doing that because of the obvious reason he wanted to get this scandal out about Joe Biden. She's saying he's doing this because Putin. That's literally, so no matter what happens in the world, no matter what happens, it's Putin pulling the strings, no matter what happens.
It's amazing. She has attempted to draw a connection to Russia pretty much every news report she's given the past 3 years, and we've not heard anything about Kevin Bacon yet. She hasn't tried to connect those degrees.
Yeah. I mean, you think it'd be easy to connect them.
Putin doesn't like dancing. Kevin Bacon was in Footloose.
So there you go. That's what people are watching at MSNBC. Can you believe that? That's what people are watching at MSNBC. And now you know why people are so fucking crazy. Now you know why you can't talk to a Hillary voter. It takes 80% of the time just to unwind their crazy. As Ben Mankiewicz used to say about the right wing. You can't have a conversation with these people. Could you have a conversation with someone who can watch her show credulously? How could you? Where do you even start there? How do you even start to unwind the crazy there?
You could start with an intervention. Sure.
From start to finish, it was one big fantasy. It was one big fairy tale. From start to finish, it was all made up. Everything she said from start to finish was made up, including the end, which was her rationale, her big theory, which is a conspiracy theory of why Trump is doing this. It's amazing. And I'm supposed to ever give a shit about criticism from fucking pukes like this? I'm supposed to ever care about criticism from pukes who work for the Washington Post or the New York Times or people who have contracts with MSNBC and they go on here and they don't expose this shit? No, thank you. Any final words? No. Okay, we got it. There you go. MSNBC wrecking America worse than Fox News ever could. Hey everybody, we're doing a live show every Sunday in October in Hollywood, California at the Sycamore Tavern. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for tickets and become a patron. We give you hours of bonus material every month. Become a premium member. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com and sign up. Thanks for your support.